Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm dating coach Naz, and in today's video, I want to get into why you're most probably going to pick another crazy woman after the last one, okay? And I know I don't want to use the word crazy because I guess, women, we don't want to be calling ourselves that. But what I mean is narcissistic, toxic, all those kind of great things that we constantly talk about. So, I want to get into why men do this and why you're going to end up doing this, by the way. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I have a client of mine who constantly is in this, in this loop of having a toxic partner who he kind of shares his child with. And then he kind of lets go of her and then he gets swooped up in that again. And then he's like, oh, I don't want to do it again. And then he gets, he wants to get back with her. So it's like a back and forth thing, which is very unhealthy in a relationship. And I have been through this but myself before, and that is why I see myself, whoever I deal with, I see myself in you because I've been through those same loops, especially with a toxic person. So before I even get into this, I do want to let you guys know that a narcissistic or toxic personality, yes, we can sit here and blame them all day long and it'll be really fun to be in that victim mode. But the most important thing that I learned, which was a wake-up call from myself, there was actually, I believe it was a therapist who was talking about this, where he said that whenever you're in a relationship with a toxic narcissistic person, it means that there's a part of you that is also narcissistic, that is also toxic. And that was the most wildest thing for me because I'm the most kindest, I'm just a good person. So I thought back in the day, I was, but I also had some toxic tendencies within me as well, which I needed to heal and become aware of. And so again, that's what I want to mention before I get into this topic, because I know there's so many channels out there, people talking about narcissistic, toxic people, and it is such a trendy thing to talk about. But I also feel like we have a big role to play in all of this. So we also have to acknowledge that before we get to pointing a finger. So the first reason why you most probably will attract a woman who is toxic, yet again, is because of unhealed trauma. So what that means is if you have not taken the time to take a break just from relationships, dating, and understand how to heal your wounds from your toxic relationships, it could even be a wound from your family dynamic as a child, you're likely going to attract another narcissistic partner. And even if you're aware, even if you're like, I know toxic people, they're horrible and not horrible, but they're not good for you. And it can really be damaging to yourself. So you know this, but subconsciously, unfortunately, you're still going to end up attracting them unless you heal this wound, or at least work on healing this wound. We attract people based on our wounds. If we understand this, life gets so much easier, right? Because unresolved trauma, what it does is it unconsciously, it draws us to a partner who reflects those same issues back to us, which basically creates a familiar ground for us because we're like, oh, I know this behavior. Maybe you don't even think about it. Oh, my mom had, you don't think like that, but your subconscious mind knows that. And so it's a familiar environment, but it's very unhealthy and toxic. It's a toxic pattern that you're repeating all over again. And so healing these wounds is essential to breaking the cycle and to attract healthier, more balanced relationships. And another part of this as well is that when, because right now we're in this world where we're looking for sparks and chemistry and connection and, all these things. But it's like when you first meet somebody, to me at least, you shouldn't be having this automatic oh my God, this connection that is unworldly. And secondly, you're most probably going to pick another crazy woman if you have low boundaries. Okay. And unfortunately for men, I know that it's a little bit difficult for you to have boundaries with a woman, especially if she's beautiful, especially if she's sexy. You might have a hard time to say, hey, I don't want to move this fast in the relationship. And I understand that's tough for you guys because you haven't created, your visual creatures, right? So I understand. But in dating, I think honestly, you learn about boundaries once you really get burnt and you get heartbroken and you've been through a toxic relationship. So this is where, really doing some great self-reflection on your past relationships. What can you do better next time? That is why whenever I have a person or whenever I have a man in front of me, I always ask, what can you do better next time? It's not about the mistakes you make, because we all are going to make mistakes. Even somebody in a relationship for over 30 years, they're going to make a mistake. We all make mistakes, and it's part of life, and it's totally okay. But the most important part of a mistake is to learn from it. Have you learned the lesson that was there for you? And if you haven't learned the lesson, if you don't care about the lessons and you continue just doing whatever and going with the flow, that is when you're most probably going to attract another crazy lady. All right. And lastly, one of the reasons why you might, I don't want to keep repeating the title, but one of the reasons you might do this again is because you are somebody who seeks validation. And whenever you seek validation, means you're not whole and complete within yourself. You constantly need somebody to tell you how great you are, how, good, how masculine you are, how important you are. If you don't need those things, you're not going to constantly seek it from another person. And of course, it's great. We're, as human beings, we love to hear great things about ourselves, but it's not a necessity for your partner to constantly bring that in your relationship. Because the thing is, whenever you're with a narcissist, what do? They are going to love bomb you at the very beginning. They're going to say, oh my God, you're the most amazing man I've ever been with. Can't live my life without you. And what are you going to do? Oh my God. It's validating my worth. I feel like I finally made it. I feel like I finally found the one. I feel like I'm finally seen, right? So if you don't care about these compliments, when she's saying all these things to you and you're really, paying attention to what is happening in front of you, then you're most probably not going to repeat this pattern all over again. And also, if you rely on others for validation, narcissists will see you as an easy target. This is the easiest for them, because also if you're seeking validation means you have low self-confidence and low self-worth. And also, I want to share this with you guys. 65% of people with low self-esteem are more likely to enter a toxic relationship. So that tells you how important working on your self-esteem, self-confidence is when you're dating, before you get into the dating world. And secondly, narcissistic behavior is one of the top causes of breakups, with studies showing 58% of relationships affected by narcissism and in separation. And the thing with narcissists is that they're not going to show you they're narcissists at the very beginning. They're even for a year, you might not notice these things unless you really have been with one and the exact things they do and you really have done the research behind them. Then you might notice it. But for a lot of people, they blend in really well because they are good at manipulating you, especially if as narcissists, they are going to choose the right person to capture their target. When they have a target, they're not going to miss. And so making sure that we're not repeating these patterns all over again. Please, Lord, I don't want anybody to go through this, because it is really damaging on first of all, you're wasting your time. Secondly, it's really painful to be in a relationship with a narcissistic person, especially if you have children with them. Lord, I pray for you, because it is a painful experience to go through. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. I hope that this video was helpful, and hopefully you do take these pointers in and you you do the work on yourself to make sure that you're not going to attract another narcissistic or toxic woman in your life. So if you guys would like to find out how to work with me, please check my links down below, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video.